Welcome to the All Things Performance Podcast. This is a good one today. I got Burf in the building.
What up, what up, what up?
And then hailing all the way from Florida, we got our teammate and our friend, Shannon Butler, man. Shannon, how you doing, man?
Man, your boy doing great. Your boy over here, how life, bro.
Look at you, man.
Season. Hey, man, dude, if I was in a bed, I'd be a twin.
Oh, man. Hey, man.
Country for real.
What'd you say?
He country for real.
Oh, yeah. I can't help myself.
Hey, man. Hey, Florida's, the spotlight's on Florida right now for more reasons than one, man.
Right, for many reasons.
Hey, well, hold on, man. Listen, for good reasons for once. Listen, except for one or two things, but
Okay.
Overall, man, there's some really cool things happening down here in the old Sunshine State, man. Dude, so we just on Wednesday we just had a Hurricane 3, Category 3 come through, and dog, that jump, man, it was just as bad as a lot of those other storms that have come through. But dude, to see kind of the resilience of our people, man, and everybody getting along and coming alongside each other has been kind of cool. And again, with the football, jumping off, man, the whole team, state, fam, doing their thing. It's really cool, man. It's a good time to be alive.
That's good, man. Hey, man, tell us about that hat you wearing, man. What they gonna do this year, bro?
Hey, so listen, man, a lot of ties to Florida A&M. So Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University. Y'all making like I went to fam or something, man. But there's so many family ties, so many ministry ties to the university, HBCU, located here in Tallahassee, home of Bob Hayes. If you're a Cowboy fan. All right,
there ain't no Cowboys fans here,
right?
No. I'm just saying, bro.
If you're a historian when it comes to Olympics, was known as the Bullet, fastest man alive back in the 60s. They had Jake Ather, right? The home of the baddest band in the land, the Marching 100. So anyway, man, just a lot of ties there. And so, and I got a cousin who coaches baseball over there, Coach Brett Richardson. And so he always be showing me some love, man. And I try to do the same for the university as a whole. One of the finest universities you're gonna come across, man, outside of NAU.
There you go.
That's right. Hey, I love the segue. So for those of you who don't know, Shannon, Burf, and myself, we were all teammates at Northern Arizona University. And for the record, man, Burf, you're a third party. You're an unbiased party. Both Shannon and I play cornerback. Who was the best athlete between the two of us? No, don't do it. Don't do it.
No, I got it. RT.
Hey, shout out Ryan Thornton.
Yeah,
shout out
RT. What up?
Hey, this is a smart man right here, man. This is a smart man right here. You know what I'm saying?
Party's over, Ryan Thornton. No, with Charlie Hall, boy. When Charlie Hall came up that hallway, bro, yelled at dog. Shout out old Sly.
Oh man, so today's podcast is I'm really looking forward to it. So we're going to be talking about faith and performance. All three of us, our faith is a big part of who we are. All three of us have served in a ministry in some type of full-time or even part-time way. Shannon, what I would love for you to do is just share with everybody real quick what your title and your role and what you're doing now, just real quick, and then we're going to get right into some questions that a lot of athletes have had to navigate through. I know that all three of us have had to navigate through, as it relates to our faith in this sport, this cosmos called athletics. So Shannon, real quick, just tell us your role and what you're doing right now.
So as of now, I currently serve as an associate pastor here at a church called Calvary Chapel, Tallahassee, and my main role of responsibility is like our spiritual formation type stuff with our home group, small group settings, and then outreach. How can we take our faith to the streets and be in a tangible expression of the kingdom here on earth. So that's essentially what I'm doing currently in my role.
I love it, man. I love how sports brought us three together, and we were all at crossroads in our lives, right?
Yeah,
In terms of
absolutely.
how we were thinking, what we were into, how we viewed the world, how we viewed people. And one of the things I want to do, I want to get right into it, man. So Shannon, what is the fine line between superstition, right? Superstition and having a genuine faith? Because a lot of athletes, man, oh man, those are my favorite socks. These are the beads that my mother gave me. When I was 10 years old. Or they got a favorite shirt or whatever it is that they do. You know what I'm saying? They eat a certain meal. You know what I'm saying? Sauerkraut and hummus before the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But people are superstitious, man, to a place where they believe it, but then there's having a genuine faith, man. So I want to open it up, with you real quick, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dude. It's funny, man. So my whole senior year in high school, I had an undershirt that I wore to every game. And when I saw that I had a pretty decent senior year, I just carried that mentality into college. So every year, I would only wear one shirt for all games underneath my deal. And what I would do is dedicate that game to a family member or someone that was going through some or whatever, or someone that I had a connection with, and I would write their name on the shirt, and then use that game as motivation as far as playing for that individual. So to that point of superstition, I feel like the question kind of lends itself to not just what you do on the field, but the off the field mentality. Like, do you utilize those same kind of things to help you, make decisions on life? You know what I mean? There is a common denominator with it, but there's also a very distinctiveness to it. The common denominator is faith, superstition, all of it, man. It centers itself around the individual and the individual's performance, right? Like, I believe, I have faith that I'm gonna perform in such a way. My actions that lead up to that particular sporting event, whatever, I've worked my way until that point, and now whatever my beliefs is, whether it comes to my pregame ritual, to the type of music I listen to, all of those things kind of help me then get into that mindset of, now whatever I'm gonna produce on the field, it's going to help me, be the best version of myself. But I guess the underlining tone has to be, what is your lifestyle outside of the sport? Like, where does your life kind of intersect with your faith outside of sports, or whatever that superstitious thing is that you do, that you feel like, man, when I do this, things go well. When I don't do this, things don't go well. Okay. Now, do you do the same thing when it comes to, like, a job performance, or, at home with your kids? You know what I mean? Do you still listen to the same music when you're about to go and have that talk with your daughter? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think there's a common denominator there, but there's also a very distinctiveness between faith and that superstitious kind of model.
Okay, so birth, when you start talking, so Shannon, I want you to, because I'm going to come right back to you, because there's a biblical definition of faith, right? Faith is it's the substance of things that are hoped for, and it's the evidence of things not seen, right? So I have this faith that something is going to happen. I have this faith that I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, even though I haven't seen it yet. And birth, as an athlete, if I'm hearing Shay B correctly, one of the things I wanted to you to hit on is, it sounds like what he's saying is that when you look at faith and you look at superstition, both of them have some type of belief.
Right. I was going to say, it's a belief system that comes with both of them.
Yeah.
So you might believe in that shirt. Like Shay B believe in that shirt. But also, it's a level of belief you got to have in yourself to say, if I do this, this is going to happen. If I shoot this ball right here, right now, it's going to happen. If I break on this route, I'm going to get a PBU or a pick. Like, it's that same faith that you have in that shirt. It's that same, and I don't even know if you even think about it at the moment. You know what I mean? In the moment, I'm not sure if you're thinking about, I got the pick because of the shirt. I know when it's all said and done, it's almost like a comfort level. Like, this makes me believe for that moment. But when I'm playing, you don't play and be like, I'm playing this well because I have my shirt on. You know what I mean? I don't think it's that. But I think it's a belief. It's absolutely a belief system that comes with that. The same way how you believe in that shirt gives you the ability to. It's the same way how you believe in your abilities at that moment.
Yeah, no, I love it. So Shannon, right back to you, based on what Bert said. What if somebody takes that shirt? What if the clubby, right, misplaces that shirt? Is your faith, is your belief, is it shook now? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and talk about that as far as the difference.
You know what, dude? Yeah, Bert, when you were sharing that, when you're sharing kind of like those the way that there's the similarities, dude. Let me hit on this the distinctives. So I believe the superstition is a counterfeit to the faith. So both are symbolizing or similar in like a belief system.
Belief, yeah.
Both of them are, kind of the undertone is, I have a belief that when I do these things every single time, this result is going to happen.
Right.
So you don't have the shirt. You know what first thing come to mind? I gotta go get another. I gotta go find somebody with a shirt that I can turn inside out, that I can write on and make my adjustments mentally, so that it feels like I'm doing the same thing. Right. I'm doing the same things that prepares for whatever the game will present itself. But the counterfeit is this. The counterfeit is, that's what's going to make me feel good. That's what's going to make me have my joy or my satisfaction, knowing that I've done these X, Y, and Z kind of things, and the result is you get a dub. That's a counterfeit, right? Because the ultimate desired outcome is not based upon, a pregame meal, the type of music you listen to, whether you got the shirt on or not, right? Man, there's so many other variables that fall into place with that. But then you got to take on it, like I look at it from a standpoint, or from a lens of like life. You know what I mean? Like, how am I going to handle situations that come up in my life the same way I handle when it came to sports? And oftentimes they awfully look a little similar, man. I'm a pray every day. Right, I'm a take my vitamins, and I'm a go out here, man. I'm a hustler, I'm a grind, but ultimately, I'm not looking for whatever the result is. I'm not looking at that to go, man, I was able to get through that obstacle because I did these X, Y, and Z different things. No. My faith value now has been displaced in a whole different system, in a whole different category, versus, man, this is just the daily things that I do to help myself, get in the mentality or the mindset that by me doing this X, Y, and Z, that's why I was able to have success. And some cats, man, that is a hard line to break through. That mental component, the mental component of like, man, your emotions and all of the things that you're working towards, man, some of that stuff get thrown out the window, man, when the quote bullets get flying when you're in the heart of the thing. So
yeah. No, I love it, man. This is good. This is good stuff, man.
I got something right.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm going to start with you. Then we just, like, overall, give me your example of like how important is faith in sports? Just in overall sports, how important is it having faith in sports? Like how important is that in the actual game that you play?
So the way that's a loaded question. This is how I would answer it. All of us athletes, coaches, we have our faith in something. Your faith is in something. It's either in yourself, it's in God. Some people put their faith in their coaches, right? On the analytics team, right? Oh, what are they throwing? What's the coverage that they're going to run? Or what are the plays that they're going to run out of these formations? Their faith, hope, and reliance, trust is in their parents, coach, like the whole night. So my thing is, I think that faith is very important. I think it's very important because whatever it is, like Shannon was saying, whatever it is that you believe in, right, that's going to be your source. If if my cell phone, if I use my cell phone all day for the next 2 days, 24, 48 hours, at some point this thing is going to tap out. And in order for it to work, in order for it just to work, we ain't even talking about making a call or email or text. In order for it to work, it has to be plugged in. And so for me, if I'm an athlete, in order for me to work, in order for me to excel, to play at a high level, there has to be a source that I tap into that is greater than myself for me to be able to do what it is that I do. Because I am smart enough to, I am not that smart, but I am smart enough to know that if I put all my faith, hope, trust, and reliance in myself, I'm going to tap out and I'm going to be at zero before you know it. So for me personally, my faith has to be in God.
That's good. Shay, what you got?
Well, here's what I was going to say. So we were kind of making this joke last night, actually. It was so funny when before LSU played FSU. And one of my boys was like, yeah, man, we're going to pray that God, help FSU wins. And he made it in the same breath. He was like, and I know LSU is probably praying the same thing, but I hope he just hears our prayers. And that's one of those things of like, we sometimes feel like because we pray, and honestly, if I can be just realistic, man, we kind of use that goes into that, but sometimes into that bucket of superstition rather than actual faith of like, hey, I'm just praying because this is a part of who I am versus I'm praying because I want a result.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? I want a dub at the end of this thing. And so, but to that point as far as the whole faith component, bro, you are absolute, Joe, you're so correct, dude. You're gonna have faith. Matter of fact, every person on this face of this planet has a faith in something, has a belief system. It's what do you put that faith in, or what do you put that belief system to or into? And me personally, of seeing life and doing life and having these different components happen, whether it be on the field or off the field, you just gotta ask the question of like, what else is out there? What is more important or more tangible for me than to see these group of individuals coming together for one cause, fighting for the same thing, in unity, working together? Like, what is greater than that? The person who made all of that. Exactly. The one who made all of that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that kind of gives me some like, okay, man, this thing is bigger than, just this game. There's more to life than the sport itself. But at the same time, there is a ton of overlay, parallel lines that connect sports to faith, life, etc.
No doubt, man. I love it. So I got a question. And Burf, I'm gonna hit you first. So, loaded question, but why do athletes, for the most part, especially we're talking about athletes on the big stages, professional athletes, that are playing in high stakes situations, why do a lot of athletes, dare I say the majority athletes, I know I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but why do we turn to God in the bad times instead of in the good times, right? Like Shannon said, not even in the bad times only, but like Shannon said, when we need a result. Like, why is it more so that instead of, God, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to play. I'm blessed to be here. I am grateful. It's more so the other prayers, the results-oriented prayers, and I can't. We got to win right now, Lord, to get to that bowl game. We got to win to get to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, man.
Well, sometimes I think as athletes we do things religiously, and when I say religiously, it's just out of habit. So some coaches, they just say the Our Father who art in the Lord's Prayer just to say it before the game because that's what they used to doing religiously. So when I'm saying religiously, like out of habit, it's just out of habit. And I just think that when the rubber meets the road, they're gonna grab onto whatever they can to give them whatever advantage they think they could have at that moment. So we gonna pray this time and we're gonna go and we're gonna do everything that we shouldn't be doing, but praying at this moment just feels like it's something that I should be doing. Once again, not out of building a relationship with God, but it's just something that I'm doing just because this is what I know to do at this time. So I think a lot of like things are just done out of just routine. It's just routine. Like it's routine that every day before the game, before every pregame, I say the Lord's Prayer, and that's my relationship is based on that with Christ. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be, but it's no different than when you go to like my daughter. Every time my daughter calls me, I'm like, "Hey, Pooh, how much?" Like I know she calling me for something, and it's almost like that's what it is. Like when they go to Christ that way, they feel like they kind of like I'm gonna pray just because it's what I know to do. Or I need something right now. But if I could, I would want to talk to them like how they feel after the prayer, after they didn't get the result that they want. Like what happens then? That's what I would say.
Shannon, that's powerful, man. And Shannon, before you answer, I want to say this because I'm gonna forget. One of my mentors, to your point, one of my mentors told me something a long time ago. He said, Joe, he said, don't always call. He said, keep in touch, and don't always call when you need something.
For sure.
And it's just like, man, how much of that, how true is that with our relationship with God sometimes, right? It's a transactional prayer. If you do this, then can I have?
It's a condition. If you then this, like it's a conditional.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
So here's what I like to call that type of mentality, cultural, religion or cultural Christianity, cultural whatever, where I'm only doing it as it fits for this season or as it fits for this moment. I'm not thinking about this, when I'm on my off season. I'm not thinking about this when I'm doing my thing, Monday through Friday, or for NFL folks Monday through Saturday. But when Saturday comes from college dudes, Sunday comes on from the NFL dudes. Hey, look, I'm kind of focused on this, and so I'm like Bert was saying, I'm gonna fall into this religious mindset or mentality. This is what I do during the season, but that's not who I really am. And that's another layer of this question that we really need to kind of dig into as far as like, who are you outside of the sport? Like what type of person are you, or where is your faith? Where does that reside when pads are not on, when the cameras are not on, when the lights are not on, right? Like
I got something.
Yeah.
I got something that when you done. I got something.
You go ahead, brother.
Yo, and I think that's where we getting all up in arms with Deion Sanders, because now we seeing what his lifestyle is outside of football. Like now we getting to see who he really is, because he don't have the pads on anymore. And from Jackson State to Colorado, he's been the same consistent guy the whole time. So now I kind of think that like now we're seeing like, okay, this is who he really is. Mm-hmm. This is who he really is, and not everybody's liking it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. He's been the same. I'm gonna say that he's been
since when we were growing up. We grew up watching the dude.
Yeah,
we grew up trying to play like him, and he's the same. It's the same today.
Absolutely. I used to see offensive linemen or defensive linemen, wearing
the neckbands.
The choker.
And the choker.
They had the choker.
All the strings of the elastic and all stretched out. Like, hey, bro, that ain't you.
That ain't you, man.
You're not him.
Yeah.
But everybody trying to emulate that dude and trying to be like him because he was the best at what he did at whatever level he was at. And so to your point, Burf, as far as like the consistency of who you are. Okay, so here you go. Like he approaches life, he approaches the game, the football, the sport of football, he approaches it the same. So we can go, okay, it seems to be whatever this dude says is like you can just take it face value. Like that's who he is. Now, there's not a whole lot of Deion Sanders out in this world, right? There's not a whole lot of people that have his type of bravado, his type of mentality, his approach. Matter of fact, his pull or his connections, like there's not a lot of those type of folks out there. So for the ones who are not like Dion or on that status level, how do you handle your day-to-day stuff? Like what are the things that you do on a regular basis that helps you outside of, trying to get a result on a Saturday or Sunday? What are the things that you're doing on a consistent basis that really is something that is going to matter beyond your years of playing?
We can just look. You could just look at our teammates, cats that we went to school with. What are they doing now? How do they live? How are they raising their kids? What are they still standing on? I mean, take away sports. You know what I'm saying? Take sports away from us and just look at our lives. Like, who are we now? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, did y'all watch that? Go ahead. Well, I was going to just ask if y'all watched that Florida documentary.
No,
yes.
I haven't watched. He watched it. I ain't watched it yet.
Now listen, just
mixed reviews. I've heard mixed reviews.
Yeah, there you go. As a Seminole fan, whatever, man. Like, it don't even matter. They ain't have to show it, to be honest. But as a fan of life, and sports and all of that stuff, it just brought back a lot of good memories or whatever. Just a lot of memories of, like, the off season and the camaraderie and messing around and all of that stuff like that. Yeah. That was great. They've missed some things. They missed some
lot. They missed a lot.
They missed the boat or something. But to the point, Joe, that you just made, Urban Meyers, he said once a player got in trouble that he wouldn't kick him off the team unless it was like, there's like, I guess, guns or like putting your hands on a female. Like, he had a short list of why he would kick somebody off the team. And the reason being, he did that to a player. And when that player was no longer playing college football.
Yeah, I saw that.
2 years later, 3 years later, he was dead.
Yeah.
And that is, so, okay, so here we go. You was talking about superstition, you was talking about faith. Well, let's also talk about idolatry. Like you're gonna worship something, and I think that's what we're seeing also,
especially in big time sports, man.
Oh my God, dude! Like, let's just keep it a buck, man. Like, I love my time with NAU, bro. I love y'all boys, man. Like, who I am as a man has definitely had, all the influences because of my college days and my days at Flag with y'all boys. But dude, that wasn't the kind of, we weren't dealing with the kind of pressure like, you know what I'm saying, like the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Floridas, you know what I'm saying, all of the big time schools like that, them Power Fives like that. Like, that's some high level pressure where dudes are legitimately having heart attacks when they don't win a game. And I'm thinking to myself, like, golly, what do you have to do? What do you have to do to maintain that type of success? Well, first of all, get to that level. Get to that level. What do you have to do to get to that level? Okay, well, you see, you got to, recruit your behind off. You got to have guys that have sometimes questionable behaviors, on and off the field, whatever, right? And then, okay, now what do you have to do to maintain that?
Yeah.
Legally
and illegally.
Well, here's what I'm about to say. Nowadays with the NIL, you know what I'm saying? So now it kind of cuts into a little bit of that, as far as some of those dudes. But ultimately, dude, your head, especially in those Power 5 schools, bro, if you ain't winning in a certain way in a certain time frame, bro, that job, it ain't gonna be yours long.
Yeah.
The dudes is like trying to hold on to it and like this is life for them. When it don't happen, man, you see cats dropping dead, or you see cats, going into these mental breakdowns, or you see cats, man, who just fall off the face of the earth. You don't hear from them no more. I done heard about more cats having like falling into addictions and stuff from all of that, dude.
Yeah,
it's a different beast. And then the NFL, I ain't got to.
But hold on, though. I think one thing I do love about what Prime is doing is he's getting boys and making them men. And I think that aspect of coaching is no longer there, where it's all about wins and losses. I'm not gonna build you up to prepare you for the real world. It's no longer that. It's not. I'm not gonna give you these life lessons that's gonna help you. I need to win, period. And how I get there, I don't care how I get there. Whereas I think I had an uncle. He played for Nick Saban, and he said Nick Saban does that. He does that.
He does what specifically?
He helps you to become a man.
Got it.
And that's what Prime is doing. But a lot of these coaches aren't doing that. They just want to take care of wins, so their job is safe. And with that being said, how important is that in coaching? And let's just talk about college. How important is that in coaching? Like your head coach helping you become a man.
We've talked about that before, man, and it's crazy because you start talking about the formative years of a young man between the ages of 17 and 24, when we're building our identity, everything that mom and dad, granny, them taught us. We are living it out by ourselves on a campus, sometimes out of state, right? And now this coach has either come into our living room and spoken to our families, or has met us on campus and say, hey, you know, this is what it means to be a man. But like Burr said, I don't think that that's happening a lot anymore, because to your point, Shannon, and when you start talking about Power 5, bro, and you start talking about big conferences, it's set up to where you have to win yesterday. You can't build programs no more. Like, you can't build the days of building programs. Oh yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to recruit freshman class. And so, dog, they putting 22 grown men on the field that have to win yesterday. We ain't trying to groom you to try to play, and build a dynasty. No, dog, you gotta win now. Look at what's happening with all the conference alignments. Everybody's leaving for what? Because of the money. That's why schools are leaving conferences, and conferences are being built up because of the money. And if your school, especially if your athletic program, more specifically your football program, right? If your football program ain't doing it, you are not going to last long term, man. That's how it's set up. The whole thing is set up like that. And I didn't want to go off on a tangent, but that's where it's going, dude. Please correct me if I'm wrong, man.
Bro, we just took another conversation, or another part of the conversation, and now you talking about loading it, dude. I think ESPN, I think it was ESPN or Fox. Where did Oregon and Washington get invited to? They got invited to the Big Ten?
Oh, you mean Oregon State and Washington State?
No, it was
Oregon and Washington.
No, yeah.
Big Ten? It was Big Ten, right? Big Ten.
Yeah. Here's the bottom line. Fox Network straight up just was like, hey, look, we're going to pay whatever needs to be paid. We're going to pay so that these teams can be a part of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And so, to your point, dude, the only schools that they're doing that for is who can we get the most revenue from. Mm-hmm. And so the whole thing has become, I'm gonna say, boy, when you talk about a loaded conversation, dude, athletes being paid in general when it comes to collegiate athletes, that's a conversation. First of all, it should have been happened, 20 years ago when we were playing. To how much, who gets what, and the compensation, and then with the universities, what is their role to it? The NCAA, bro, don't get me started on them jokers. Man, listen, out of all of the policing, who is policing the NCAA?
Exactly.
They're supposed to be doing the work of policing all these universities and all of these athletes, but who is policing them? Who's making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and their due diligence as far as making sure everything is copacetic. And so anyway, long story short, man, as far as what you were saying, dude, I was watching maybe first take. It was maybe one of those random ESPN joints, and Ryan Clark was talking, and he was talking about, because you said, Joe, you have to win yesterday. There ain't no more of this grooming and trying to get, cats to come in and sit down for, a year or two, learn from the person in front of you. And then when it's your time to shine, you get in there and do it. Now, we're trying to get cats in here to turn around and win now. But this is the thing. Ryan Clark was talking about the LSU folks and how their secondary. So they had cats like the Patrick Petersons, the Honey Badger, had Ryan Clark himself, right? Yeah. And now he said they had this year's team with DBs. They got cats from like, SMU. They got cats from like UMass. They got cats from like these other schools that they've been, trained up for 3 or 4 years. And now they come into a place like LSU and they're supposed to perform like DBs of old. It's like, oh, man, so that's a part of the recruiting part of it. But I don't think that even happens because of how college football has morphed, or where it has morphed, what it has morphed into. Now you got to try to find players, no matter where they're from, to get them to come in and play to a higher level, because your job is on the line every single Saturday.
Yeah.
You got your ability to try to feed. You got your kids that you're trying to put in school or whatever. So I get it, man. Why the frustration levels or the anxiety levels are at a high, but you got to find that balance. You can't just be saying all willy-nilly with the football stuff and not necessarily about like, okay, but how you take care of yourself.
Yeah, this is
go in.
Yeah, man, this is a loaded conversation, but I want to make
sure. My bad, we stepped away. My bad, we stepped
away.
This
is good though, because this is yeah. So this is good though. So as it relates to platform, right? Each and every one of us have a platform. God has given us all platforms, and some people have bigger platforms than others. We talked about Dion. We talked about like all of these players, man, coaches. As it relates to this faith conversation, and Burp, I'm gonna start with you. What do you think the responsibilities are for individuals as it relates to their faith? Like, if your faith is a big part of who you are, what is the responsibility, if any, that you have to share your platform? Because some people are like, my relationship with God is between me and God. Well, when others like who have been, plastered, what I'm saying, crucified, I'm thinking about like a Tim Tebow, right? Who's just, out there letting you know what time it is, chapter and verse, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you enter into that conversation, man?
So let's get, I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Joe or Shay B, but when I was at NAU, I'm like, yo, y'all different. I don't know who it was.
It was me, bro. It was me. You keep talking about every time we had that conversation too, you always mention Joe. It wasn't Joe. Joe had on some fake Versace sunglasses.
They were real. Hey, and they were Ray-Bans, homeboy. They were real.
Hey, Joe had on that old pleather. It wasn't leather. That wasn't no leather coat.
That probably was real too.
Hey, he had on that fedora. It didn't fit all the way, so he had to wear it like this.
This dude hating.
That was me, bro. That was me.
Hey, we need to bring AJ on the podcast. So AJ will tell the truth on this clown right here. Yeah. We need to bring AJ on the podcast. So he tell the truth on this clown right here, man.
Hey, we got time for that, man. But go ahead, man.
So it was one of y'all, you see that light that y'all different. Like all right, Shabby, we'll say you. All right, you different. Like you moving different. Like, what's up with you? And I think we had a short conversation about like who you was and what you stand for. Now I was like, oh, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm with the same thing. I'm a little more expressive with mine as far as colorful, but that was how I do it. So the question was, like, what is our responsibility? I think our responsibility as believers, don't get me wrong, I love Tim Tebow, and I love as a young man. As a football player, completely different conversation, but I love his what he stands for, and he's unashamed. He's unashamed with it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm with that. But I heard this conversation at the barbershop and walked with me for a little bit. This conversation talks about you don't blame a crop for how they grows. You definitely make sure you got it in the right environment. So I think our responsibility is to make sure that we have people in the right environments so that they can grow. They have the ability to grow. We don't control how they grow. but we got to put them in the right situation. So if our responsibility, having the platform that we have, being the people who we are, I think our responsibility is to put them in that right environment so they have an opportunity to succeed and be the best person that they can be, who God wants them to be. I think, that's what I think. I think we got to make sure that we water, we till, we take the weeds out, or let them be aware of the weeds, and then they go from there. But I think it's our responsibility to provide them with the right environment.
That's well said, man. Shannon,
Yeah.
that's well said.
I'm gonna enter this part of the conversation. So, do we have a responsibility? Absolutely. So, when we're talking about in a public space, I think of it like this: if you're a Christian, and we don't just talk through the Christian lens. Number one, everything that Jesus did, or his death, burial, and resurrection. So I'm gonna just kind of stick to like the meat of the gospel. Like all of that was public. There wasn't nothing private about that. Like he was brutally murdered. He was stripped naked, right, beaten, bruised, and hung on a cross. Matter of fact, he was in the middle of the center of the town where he was being crucified. And when people was walking into the town, they would be able to see, they would see who were the worst of the worst, and the one that was in the middle was considered the worst of the worst. And so that everything that all of that represented was public. That was a public display. And then in his resurrection, of course, he went and visited or was seen by at least 500 some people that put physical eyes on him. So if we're to model our lives after Christ, the responsibility that we have is to be in public. Like there is no secular sacred, right? All of it belongs to him. So our responsibility is to respond in creation by giving what is his and his just due, and to follow in the steps, as I believe it's Ephesians tells us to be imitators, right? And so we need to be more so in the public space than anything. We don't have salvation so that we can hide under a lampshade, right, or under a bucket. Like we're to let our light shine in the public space. And so now when I think about it, like from that regard, another responsibility is to one another's. So I believe for a fact there are at least 81 different times in the New Testament alone where one another's, that phrase one another's, is mentioned. So if somebody mentions 81 different times, you better be paying attention, right? So we're to encourage one another, we're to love one another, we're to pray for one another, we're to do all these things, bear one another's burdens, right? And Burf, I love that analogy as far as the farmer agricultural analogy, because that's exactly what we're told to do. We're told to be either planters or waterers. God brings the increase. That's all. Yeah. So we're either planting or we're watering. I'll plant, you water, or vice versa. Either way, God is the one that brings the increase. And so we can't sit around and go, maybe we just gotta let life happens to somebody, or we just gotta wait until God does something, and then if there was something as far as a response to whatever's happening in culture, then we'll get off our butts and go do our thing. Oh, this is the thing that came up because I just talked about this yesterday. 56% of Christians, and this was on the Barna report that was reported in 2022, I believe, last year. 56% of Christians believe that their spiritual life is supposed to be done privately. 56%. Now, there's nothing in the Gospels that says, hey, or in the Bible itself that says, do this behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Now it does talk about, like, hey, when you pray, I'm saying, don't be like that dude, right? Who's in the east and doing all this other stuff, right? But there is a time for public space for prayer. There's times for being able to go and serving in the community, and that's for there's times when you're not supposed to let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, right? We're not supposed to be out there boasting about all of these different things. Nevertheless, as far as like, hey, I'm just going to choose to do my entire spiritual walk privately. I'm not going to share my faith. I'm not going to talk about God. I'm not going to resemble God. That's, bro, that feels awfully like I ain't gonna say I'm not gonna question anyone's salvation when it comes to that kind of stuff, but that's awfully dangerous to just say, hey, this ain't for everybody. It's just me and God. That's all that matters, right? Like that's not it.
We wouldn't be talking today if it wasn't for what you're talking about and what he's talking about. We wouldn't even be sitting here talking today.
Because Bert, here's why I'm gonna straighten you out, bro. Because
all right, Unc. Okay, Unc. Whatever you say, Unc. He said, I'm about to straighten you out. Come on, man.
That was 03. That conversation me and you had was in 03 in the locker room. But hold on. In 02, me and Joe had a similar conversation. And it wasn't so much as like, hey, man, you move kind of differently, or like, hey, man, like what you own kind of thing. It was more one of those things of like, dude, I had just lost an aunt. And I'm like, and kind of like this like, I believe that, depression is a thing, but I don't want to throw that out like willy-nilly, like, oh man, I was, the dark clouds and I had all these crazy thoughts or whatever. But dude, I was not myself. There was nothing like bubbly. There was nothing like, right. And so just going through that as a young man, 20 some years old, dude, me and Joe had a conversation in the dome right outside of the locker room. And that conversation was one of those like they're encouraging one another kind of conversations, to the point where it made me go, oh my gosh, man, I'm over here like I'm operating as if God doesn't exist. I'm operating as if God is not in control. And that conversation with Joe kind of re-sparked some things as far as a connection with God that caused me to like start shifting some things. And then when me and you had a conversation, so man, I don't even know why I'm getting all hype over that, man. But I'm just glad.
It's all God, man. All glory to God, though. You know what I'm saying?
There's an interaction or interconnection there that allow for the Spirit to move in the midst of those different seasons and different situations. You know what I'm saying? That cause us to have a response.
Yep.
Cause us not to just keep this thing like, okay, now that, what I'm saying, I got my footing, I got my foundation set on under me. I'm just keep this to myself. Nah, man, we out trying to help the next generation, bro. That's what this making disciples, Great Commission, man.
Yeah. And Shay B, you doing big things. Burf doing big things. There's a lot of us, man, in that podcast. So for those that don't know, in 2002, we had a Bible study, and it started off with Thursday nights, and we had a bunch of teammates in there when we first started. Cats on the ground, sitting on the stove. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had a big showing, and it was Thursday night. It was party night. College is party night. You know what I'm saying? So we lost a couple of brothers. You know what I'm saying? A couple of cats was mad at us for doing Bible study on Thursday night, but it whittled down to a core group of us. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, man, but God was glorified, I believe, man, during that Bible study. And like I said, it was a crossroads for a lot of us, and myself included, man. And so, praise God for that. And, this leads me to my next point, man. This is some good stuff. We're going to get right into it. Can you be a high-performing athlete? I'm talking about elite of the elite, and still be on fire for God? Because there's this debate that's going on that I ask a lot of athletes that I work with, because it's almost like, because if you look at the cosmos of sports, right, it's very self-serving, right? It's very self-serving, right? You got to get your bag. You got to be the best. You got to have the most followers. You got to, you have to be the man, whatever the case may be. And then it's almost like, let me go ahead and put my faith to the side. And if I were to ask both of you, even right now, like, how many athletes can we name that are that are the elite? They're the best, right? And their faith is on Front Street. So I just want to open the conversation. Can you do both?
I think you can. I think Tim Tebow was on. He was the mascot. He had the, you know what I'm saying? Tim Tebow was on it. But there's a couple that, I mean, when you say on fire, like, I think some people have it, but it's just them. It's who they are. One person who I really love to talk to and talk about is Aeneas Williams.
Oh man, what?
I like Aeneas Williams. He was on fire, but it was never like he ain't have the 316 under. You know what I'm saying? He ain't do all that, but he was doing it right. Even you know what I'm saying, Deion Sanders, like the way we see him now, he's always been that way.
The late Reggie White.
Reggie White for sure. But I think there's a lot, but it's just who they are, and I mean, and it just becomes so normalized to us. But I think you can be on fire, and you can be an incredible athlete. And I think they're out there, once again, it's just who they are. I don't think that everybody's not going to be. Tim Tebow was definitely different. You know what I'm saying? He was you know, the 316 and all of that, and he would, and you know, when he scores the prayer and everything, I think that's cool. That's good, and that's who he was, and that's who his platform allowed him to be. But even like you got people like Ray Lewis, who people they don't believe how hard it is, difficult to take him serious because of what happened in '96. So people like would kind of still condemn him because of what happened then, which I give him another shot.
You bring up a great point. I don't want to cut you off. I wanted you to keep going, but Burke brings up a great point. And Shannon, I want you to speak to this too. But I'm going to go back to Burke. Why is it that when you see an athlete who's on fire for God, right, who has a big testimony, big platform, we as a society, we relegate them, we give them levels, right? Oh no! Well, this, yeah, he loves God, but he did this. He got 2 baby mamas. Did you see what he did in '96? You know what I mean? Like, did you see what he did in college? Did you hear about the one he did in college? You know what I'm saying? It's like we give people levels to their love of God. Why do we do that?
Hold on, JB. Hold on, before you go. It reminds me of. It reminds me of Mike Tyson when he was being interviewed, and dude like took him down, was like, well, people are talking about you being a rapist, and he loses it.
He lost it, and that was a classic interview. That mug was classic.
He was like, ain't nobody talking about it but you.
Yeah.
He said, you're scum. You're scum. You ain't no good. You're scum.
Yeah. He said some other stuff.
Oh
but,
yeah.
But
For sure.
But why do we do that though? Why do we give people levels of, you're not Elijah level. You're not Moses level. You're basement level Christian. Like, why do we do that junk, man?
I think for the masses, they don't want nobody to be higher than what they perceive it to be. So if I think Moses is up here, you'll never reach that level. Yo, this is a comparison to me. So we think, to us, Michael Jordan is the greatest athlete that ever played, hands down. And as great as LeBron is, as great as Kobe is, there will never be Michael Jordan. And I think that's how they see these people. So as great as Ray Lewis was, we could always knock him down by taking him back to '96. You know what I'm saying? I think
that's crazy, man.
Like, we never want to see people higher than what we think them to be. So Moses is this great figure who did all these great things. We will never have nobody ascend to those heights. We will never have nobody ascend to those heights as Michael Jordan, no matter how great they are. You know what I'm saying? So we put people in these realms that are untouchable, no matter how much they accomplished. And to be completely honest, I don't know what else LeBron could do.
Yeah, what else can that dude do?
I don't know what else he could do.
What else could he do?
Statistically, that dude would go down as the greatest ever played. I don't care what nobody say. But
let's not go to LeBron. But I want you to finish your point, though, man.
But what I'm saying is that, like, it's just like people. It's just so much more convenient to knock them down. You know, it's so much easier to tell me what I don't have as opposed to tell me what I do have. Tell me what I do well tell me what I don't do well. Let's talk about all the shots that I miss as opposed to all the shots that I make. Let's talk about all the times I got tackled behind the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So, but you're saying though that you can be a high level performer and you can be on fire for the Lord.
Yes.
You're saying you can do it.
Yes, you can do it. You can do it. But once again, it's just who you are. Like once again, Aeneas Williams was just naturally just a dope dude, and he was on fire. But nobody never took the time to like follow him documentary and all of that. Like they did Tebow. Tebow just happened to be on Friendship, which is cool. Like I love him for that. I think he's a dope dude for that. Go ahead, Shay B, what you got?
Hold on, man. I had to finish my statement as far as LeBron, man. Like Michael Jordan is the greatest. Michael Jordan is the greatest dude. Like it ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You know, when it comes down to putting on some shoes, whatever, Jordan is the greatest to do it. But the reason why I believe, whoever it is, LeBron or the next LeBron-esque, shadowing of whoever coming after LeBron. Won't nobody be able to top Jordan is because of how Jordan performed in the moments where it counted the most. You know what I mean? And when we look at it like that, there's certain cats that, okay, I don't care how many numbers you put up. Like, man, if you can't do it like that at that level when it matters the most, bro, it's just, yeah, I mean, you're done. So that's on that's not a conversation. We talk about that later. The original question is for us like, can you be high level?
Yep.
And you don't fight for the Lord, dude. There are a number of people that come to mind. And honestly,
Please share,
dude, your boy Brian Dawkins.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yes, yeah.
I don't know if y'all watched that interview with Tequila Spice was like,
yes,
said,
soul snatching.
Behold said, I'm gonna take his soul. He looked at him like, you old right now. What you talking about? And when he hit old boy from Green Bay, like he took his soul, bro. Like there was a moment in which that brother had an out of body experience and they came back. But B Hawk loves the Lord, man. Loves the Lord. Here's the thing, bro. It's that technology, man. It's the time in which these players played. Like you said, the late Reggie White. I mean, I think that Joker was preaching when he was Green Bay. And
bruh, I've heard testimonies from players in the locker room that they were like, yo, man, all these other cats over here talking about this, that, and the third. He said, Reggie is the reason I became a Christian because I saw what he was doing. I looked at his life and he backed that thing up all the way. You know?
So I think what was polarizing about Tebow is he used his platform. And he happened to be bro, it was like you can't put lightning won't strike in the bottle like that again. He happened to be really good on a really good team in a time where dynasties was like really starting to be a thing, starting with USC and I know Alabama and back in the 60s, but I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about like modern day, right? So USC with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and them. And then you had, those few times where it was like Alabama, but then Florida had that little run, right? And so this dude wins a Heisman as a sophomore. He breaks all those records and stuff, and so all eyes on him. But he's also like very, very outspoken about his faith, which that's the thing that you go, okay, can a person do that? Yeah. But do people choose to be as outspoken as as a Tebow? Because I think I don't know if it was Jake Plummer or one of them dudes was like, man, I'm a Christian too, but you don't hear me, doing all of that or whatever. And then that's when you don't want to do it, but it's kind of like, hey man, are you a Christian though?
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying though, man. We give people levels to it. We give people levels.
I'm gonna tell you another one. Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner is bro, like loves the Lord. Hey, did y'all know Randall Cunningham is a pastor in right? Like, dude, there's a ton of cats, bro. There's a ton, but who, like, when we talk about like basically like superstar status, but also loving the Lord, like I don't know if and I want to be careful with my words. Like, I don't think that should even be the goal, right? Like, can you do it? Sure. And should you do it, especially if you're a Christian? Should you try to ball out, and should you try to, try to win as many souls to the Lord? Absolutely. But I think at the end of the day, man, like, yeah, just how do you use your platform? So I'll just leave it at
that. No, I like that, man. John chapter 15, man, one of my favorite chapters in the Bible, talks about how herein is our Heavenly Father glorified, that we bear much fruit, that men may see and glorify our Father which is in heaven. And I feel like whatever domain that you're in, we need to be bearing fruit, right? It doesn't, birth is an educator of 20 years, bearing fruit in the classroom. Shannon, you're doing big things in the kingdom, bearing fruit, on the streets, bearing fruit in the church, bearing fruit in the community. And it's one of those things that whatever your domain is, whatever your platform is, we need to be bearing fruit, because when we do that, and fruit has everything to do with platform. You can't hide it. You can't hide the fruit on a tree, dog. You can't.
Hey,
you can't hide the fruit on the tree, man.
You said platform. I'm also say this too, man. Now you can't be like basically like a hypocrite. But I was gonna say like basically, I mean, you can tell people, man, I'm an apple tree, and you over here got oranges growing off of you, right? Like that ain't gonna fly. Or I say apples, but instead it's like thistles. It ain't even fruit. Like you over here growing thorns and stuff. Like
Did he say thistles?
Yeah.
dude, you can't fake this stuff, man. You can't fake that. It will come out sooner or later. Whatever's in the dark comes to light, right?
Hey, go ahead.
But yo, I'm almost like, fam, like, but we are so hard on those athletes who, God forbid, and I'm glad that he didn't, but God forbid Tebow had a moment. Yo, do you know how much backlash he would have got if Tebow had a moment? Now, once again, because he said he a Christian.
Had a moment. What are you talking
about? If he had a moment where a weakness, right? Yeah. And if he had, God forbid, he drink a Budweiser or something or whatever, like they would have crucified him.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, okay, you say you're a Christian, and I said this to my youngins before. The minute you say you're a Christian, you become under that microscope, because now people want to see how you live so they can condemn you at any moment that they get. Any moment that you get. So it's almost like you give no room to like, you can't have a moment where a weak moment. If you have a weak moment, then they question your Christianity, they question who you are. You know what I'm saying? Everything comes to question if you have a moment. And I don't think the gospel like that.
Yeah, and to your point, Bert, I mean, we are all going to have those moments. Absolutely. Whether publicly or privately. Right. And everybody that we've mentioned today has had those moments, or will have. Dude, we had a chapel several years ago. One of my guys, Chip Simmons, he's a chaplain for the Broncos, or he was. And when the Broncos would come out here and play, he would call me and be like, "Hey, Joe, do the chapel." And you know who showed up to that chapel? Brian Dawkins, Tim Tebow, right? And I remember I was so excited to meet B-Doc. He came in, man. He goes, "Brian Dawkins." I said, "Man, I know who you are." I said, "It's a pleasure." I was like, "Man, it's a pleasure to meet you." Tim Tebow comes to the chapel, sits in the front row, right? And I start talking. I'm talking about, just the power of love. Love is a sacrificial giving of oneself to the benefit of others. You talk about, people who are about it, people who who they are as advertised. Correct. I'm sitting there quoting scripture. It's Hebrews. For the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. I'm sitting here, talking to the group. Tim Tebow's in the front, mouthing every word I'm saying. Buddy's quoting the scripture before it even comes out of my mouth. And I'm looking at him like, "Hey, man, I can't look at you, dog. You messing me up right now." I'm like, "For the joy that was set before him." Tim Tebow like, "It's for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross." I'm like, this dude know his scripture. And I'm sitting there about to stutter. I'm like, "Oh, dog, Joe, you better come with it." You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, to Burr's point, like, God forbid that he has a moment, all of a sudden he's human again. Dog, we're all human. We've all messed up. We've all heard the stories of what cats be doing on Super Bowl night, messing it all the nights preceding the Super Bowl, or this affair over here, or this embezzlement over here. Man, we are all flawed, and I don't think this is the point. I think the point is that we are using, because I hear all of us saying that we're using our platform to glorify God, and some people are doing it quietly, but in a very powerful way. Some people got the camera on them, and it's in a powerful way. But I think that at the heart of this is, where our hearts are. And so, as we get ready to close, Shannon, I'm gonna give you back the mic, bro. If you have anything, I want you to say something. We're gonna get ready to close here in a second. Go ahead, Shay.
Well, dude, when y'all was talking, especially when it came to like, why does it feel like somebody gets like on a backlash or whatever if they were to, get caught slipping or whatever, or fall and have that moment of weakness? I think we also got to be very keenly aware that we also have an adversary.
Oh,
like we can't just go like kind of navigate through life thinking that, okay, everything that I'm doing is with other folks that has my shared viewpoint, that has my belief system, right? There are many people who are antagonistic at the very least when it comes to a person claiming Christianity as faith and their belief system attaching themselves to the Bible. There are many people that try to attack that and wants to go after that. So when a person does have a moment of weakness, it ain't because the other person is don't think that their testimony is true. They're trying to say the whole thing. A lot of people they use the whole platform to just say, man, that's why I don't do church, or that's why I don't do the Bible, or that's why I don't do religion. It's all the same. All these hypocrites. And the reality is that's just one person's opinion, or it may feel like a multitude, where in reality it's always the minority, and that's not the majority. It's the minority of people that try to speak into a situation that, in other words, when you have more of those heart to heart and behind the curtain kind of conversations, it's more the reality of like, man, listen, we all fall short of the glory of God, right? We're gonna pick ourselves up. We're gonna trust in the Spirit. We're gonna trust in each other to have each other's backs. We're gonna trust God forgives, right? That's our whole stance, right? God forgives sinners. And so I think we look at whatever the platform is. Do we look at them as if they're not human?
Who's them, Shannon?
Whoever has that platform of whoever has that platform of superstar, or whatever kind of like the platform where all eyes feels like is on them. If they make the statement, Jesus is Lord. Okay, now are we going to accept that as a sinner saved by grace? Are we going to accept that as that's just a dude that has all of these followers, and all the reason he's making this statement because he's a cultural Christian, really not a Christian? And then when he have that moment, whatever the moment is, then we throw everything at him, but the kitchen sink. Actually, sometimes with the kitchen sink, and try to make a point of like, see, the whole thing is fake, the whole thing is phony. Nobody need to be following that stuff, blah 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 blah. And honestly, dude, like, you got to ask the question of like, okay, when you say, hey, Jesus is Lord, there's a legitimate like bullseye that get put on the targets, or gets put on the backs of the fellow believers.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I'm just gonna say, as okay. So for a Tim Tebow, or for Brian Dawkins, or for these cats who are outspoken like that, as fellow believers and brothers in the faith, yeah, man. Listen, he's just using his platform to essentially try to be faithful to the scriptures, that to whom whom is little, to much is given, much is required, or that statement.
Yeah.
Like listen, he's been given little. He's been given little to be faithful in these little moments. Now God has given him much to now use his platform for what? To honor God. So
Exactly.
now come behind them and like instead of getting behind him and being like, oh man, you're only doing that because he's making all this money, or you're only doing that because he only do. You're right.
Hey, so check this out. Birth. One of the most cringeworthy moments for both believers and non-believers, and one of the most exciting moments for believers, is this moment. Super Bowl win, award, athlete gets the mic. I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without him, none of this would be possible. Yeah. So all the believers sitting there like, oh yeah, praise the Lord, saints. We got another one in there. Praise the Lord, saints. You know what I'm saying? And then people who are not with it are like, ah, man.
Once again, that's one of those things we say religiously. That's one of the things, yo, you win an award. Hey, I want to thank my Lord. After you done call everyone B's and H's and everything else, I want to thank my Lord and Savior. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something that we say religiously.
Keep it real, bro. Dog, that was like every hip hop, award winning, like when they would come on the mic, man, and just giving honor to God. Like, okay, everything that has breath, praise the Lord. But hey, bro, come on, man. I mean, don't be able to represent God and your music is this, right?
That's real. But my thing has always been, and if I could even talk to some of these, if I had the opportunity to speak to some of these entertainers, whether it be entertainment or sports or whatever the case is, I'm like, fam, you got a platform. What you doing with it? What are you doing with it? Like, you have this huge stage. What you doing with all eyes on you, and you want to talk about, especially like the rappers and all, you want to talk about the negativity of stuff. Or then you got this whole fam, and I'm in education, and you got kids that can't read. But I'm telling you, if Jay-Z was to tell these kids to start reading, they'll read. If not, you know what I'm saying?
They'll sing all of his songs too. They'll sing all of his songs too.
And can't read. Can't read. Can't write their name backwards, whatever the case is. But I mean, like, fam, you got this platform, and you rather talk about drugs. And once again, some of this stuff is industry. It's all industry. However, like, fam, I need you to do something with this platform. I would love for you to be more positive in our communities with these platforms that you have. But you're right, everybody has a platform. My question is, what are you doing with it, and what do you expect to see happen because of your platform?
Yeah.
That's what I would ask them.
Yeah, man, I love this conversation, man. And for those joining us, we have Shannon Butler here and Jeffrey Birthright. And Shannon, we're going to end with you, man. I started with you, going to end with you. You have a room full of 10,000 people, and you have the platform. 10,000 high performers, 10,000 athletes. What's going on in your head and heart, man? How are you encouraging the people, man, as we get ready to close today?
Well, how will I encourage somebody? I can only do it through my lens in which I view the world and through life and through a biblical lens is, man, I mean, a lot of what Bert was saying, like, what are you using today? Okay, a lot of y'all made sacrifices to get to the place in the space where you are right now. What sacrifices are you willing to make sure somebody else does the same thing? To make sure that other people are having the opportunities to have just as much success, if not more, than you. And then the biggest question, what is going to be said when your last breath has breathed, right? Many are going to talk about you in a good light. Some are going to talk about you in maybe not necessarily in such a good light or positive light. But what is going to ultimately matter is, what does the Lord say about you? Depart from me, for I never knew you, or enter into thy kingdom. Well done, good and faithful servant. So one of the most important aspects of encouragement would be, man, the sacrifices that have been made, you are now receiving those fruits. Enjoy the fruits of your labor, man. Enjoy the fact that you get to, actually go on vacation and turn off the phone and not have to worry about, X, Y, and Z. Like, enjoy the fruit of your labor. but don't get so comfortable and so into an idolatrous kind of mindset to believe that this is how it's going to be forever, and now you ain't got no other responsibilities but to just take care of yourself. Like, nah, man, you got to remain as a part of humanity. Just as a part of, all of us, sharing blood and ligaments and cellular structures, man, we have a responsibility to take care of each other. And being able to do so does honor the Lord, but also, man, it sets a precedent that, man, this is how we're going to further not just the kingdom of heaven, but this is how we're going to further, our time here on earth, and making sure that, people are taken care of. So just one of many things to be said.
No, well, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. That was fire. I appreciate you joining us, Shannon. And for my guest and co-host, Jeffrey Birthright, and for our guest today, Shannon Butler. This is Josiah Gano of the All Things Performance Podcast. God bless y'all, and we'll talk to you soon.